Welcome to the Nate Gratian Show, where we talk all things personal finance, investing, and entrepreneurship. I'm Nate, your host. Thank you for joining me here today. And the date today is the 12th of November, 2022, and we've got a weekly report, an update of what's happening in the stock market for the past week, and what's going on in our portfolio on eToro. If you're looking to start investing, eToro is a great platform to invest on, and I'll share a little bit more why I really like investing on eToro. It is a little bit later on. It is to do with some of the stuff that went on this week in the stock market and in the cryptocurrency area of the stock market, and you probably already know a little bit of what that may be. We're going to take a look at this past week. It's been a big week in the market. A lot went on, a lot took place in the stock market, and we had some good gains in our portfolio. We'll start with our portfolio for this past week, and then we'll go in through the events for the week, and then we'll take a look into next week at what we have planned for the coming week. Now, our portfolio saw a gain this week of 6.08%. A really big gain this week, some nice movement in the last 2 days. That was in correlation with the CPI number that came out on Thursday. So the last 2 days of the market, we saw some big gains from the week that happened in those last 2 days. The S&P went up 5% just on Thursday. The S&P 500 went up 5% just on Thursday after the CPI numbers came out. But let's take a look at things. Our portfolio, as I mentioned, went up 6.08%. We did not make any movements in our portfolio as planned. We were keeping this week steady with everything that was going on as we headed into the week. So it kept things steady. We didn't make any new investments. We didn't change funds or anything like that. We did end up funds being deposited into our account. We had some stuff that was happening with our eToro payment system, and so we ended up with funds in our account. That's okay. We've now got funds deposited, so next week we won't be depositing funds. We've already got funds there ready to be invested. We will stick to our plan for the month, which will be to invest them on the 18th of November, and then the deposit that we're going to make on the 30th of November, that's already been done now. But we will invest on the 18th and the 2nd of December into NOBL, which is ProShares Dividend Aristocrat ETF. And so we will stick with our plan with those funds that have just already been deposited, that's all. And we'll invest them into Noble through this week. But everything else was pretty quiet on our through this month. Everything else was pretty quiet on our portfolio. As we look through the events, the week started off tentative, a little bit of a gain at the beginning of the week, and then the midterm elections started. The market went into the midterm elections expecting a Republican sweep of the House and the Senate, for the Republicans to really take over quite the majority quite definitely. That hasn't really been the case. Now, while nothing's fully decided yet, it's a bit unclear. Now, while it's looking like the Republicans will take majority, it is looking like they won't take it as certain and as definite as the market was expecting. And so the market was rallying because it likes a split government, essentially. It likes a government that can't just make sweeping decisions. And when you have a president, House, and Senate all from one party, they can just make sweeping decisions. And so it likes it when the House and Senate are essentially split and divided, and can't just make sweeping decisions. They're usually spending a lot of money, which the market doesn't necessarily like. And so the market took a bit of a pullback when it looked like things were going to drag on a little bit longer and not be as definite with the Republican takeover. But it is still looking like the Republicans will take majority, just not as much as what was thinking. So on the Wednesday, there was a bit of a pullback of 2% in like the S&P. And that's why, is because of what was taking place in the midterm. Then we had the CPI number come out, and that was a big boost to the market. As mentioned, it came out at 7.7%. It only rose 0.4% from the previous month, much lower than the expected rise from the previous month, showing that inflation could well be peaking. However, the Fed did remind us that 1 month does not declare a victory over inflation, 1 month's numbers. So we need to see this happen a few more times. We need to see inflation on a downward trend for us to really say, yeah, things are headed in a really good direction. But it was nice to have a few days of a rally, and we could well see a rally, unless the Fed really comes out strong and really tries to just be purposefully destroying things and really, hawkish in absolutely everything that they do. We could see a rally into year end. It wouldn't surprise me, as I've mentioned previously, see the stock market rally into year end. The third event that took place, and this is what I mentioned earlier about liking eToro. The third event that took place kind of in between these two on the Wednesday. Didn't really affect the market too much. This is really a crypto story. It affected the crypto market big time. Was that of FTX, which is a crypto platform. Now, FTX is broken into two categories. There's FTX US and FTX International. And which is outside of the US, the FTX International faced liquidity issues this week, which essentially means they faced issues when you're trying to withdraw funds. All of a sudden, they faced issues trying to provide those funds. This is a big problem, a major problem for a platform. So they faced issues providing those funds. This then caused what you would expect, as this news began to come out and spread, caused a run on FTX International. Last time I checked, FTX US, as of this recording, was doing okay, but it is causing some issues for FTX US as well. And so they're having liquidity issues of being able to provide people their money, and that's a big problem because people put money in there, trust the platform, and now they're struggling to get their money out. FTX US, I believe, is still fine at this stage, but it is starting to cause a bit of a run on FTX there, people withdrawing their money. And when you have a bunch of people withdrawing their money, it's kind of like a bunch of people going to the bank and pulling their money out of the bank all at the same time. If we all went to the bank and pulled our money out, it would cause big issues. And this is happening in the crypto world. And so this is why, personally, I only keep about 2% of our overall portfolio in cryptocurrencies, and I'd recommend you do about the same. Definitely don't let it go up over 5% of your portfolio. Keep it pretty minimal what's in crypto, because it is very, very volatile. That being said, as long as it's within that 2%, I may look, as things settle, to actually purchase some more. Now, I like eToro because eToro, I know my funds, if something, I hope nothing like this ever happens, and I'm pretty sure everything's good, and eToro is a good brokerage, but I know my funds are insured with ASIC here in Australia, and in your country, most likely they're insured, your funds are insured as well. Here in Australia, it's insured up to $1 million. ASIC is the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, and so I know it's insured up to $1 million, and so my funds up to that stage are okay. And so that's one reason I really do like investing on eToro, and that there's a whole lot of other reasons, but that's one big reason I like it. And so hopefully all this pans out and everything. We are keeping our positions in crypto. We're planning on, like I mentioned, potentially, if things settle and if it keeps going down, potentially adding a little bit more, provided it keeps within that 2% of our overall portfolio. Now, as we look into next week, funds have already been deposited, so there's no need to do that. We will watch the market and continue to keep an eye on seeing where this rally goes. and we will invest into NOBL, that's NOBL, towards the end of the week, and put our investments there. A small portion will go into VOO, VOO, which is where we invest our kids' college fund as well. And so looking forward to seeing what happens next week and what goes on, but we will keep everything pretty stable. There's a few of our single stocks with this rally that have turned positive, and we'll keep an eye on that. There's a chance we may, as I mentioned, single stocks we keep quite fluid and we move in and out. We see where there's opportunities. We keep that at about 5% of our overall portfolio. So there's a chance we may close some positions there. We'll see what goes on in our portfolio next week. But thank you everyone for joining me here today. Again, if you have questions or you have a question or a topic you'd like discussed on a podcast episode, you can send me a message on Instagram at Nate Gratian or on YouTube at The Nate Gratian Show. On YouTube, this podcast is on there and all the other podcast episodes. And so as we do a bunch of shorts throughout the week about what's happening in the market and what's going on in our portfolio and different things we're doing. You can comment on any one of those and I will respond back to the comment, and I'll let you know as well when your question or your topic goes up as a podcast episode for you to listen to, and you can check it out there. And I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe and join our YouTube community. All the articles that I write on eToro are also available on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. On the page under the community tab, you'll find all our written articles. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you in the next episode.